How did you recruit Tito Ortiz into wrestling in high school? Because I understand you're the one that was actually coaching at his high school and you recruited
Yeah.
him. And I guess I don't know how you guys all
Right.
connected with Tito eventually, but
Yeah.
maybe you could explain that.
Yeah. So at Huntington Beach, and in the ALC. It was called the Alternative Learning Center, which was the remedial classes, which were the kids that were. No, it's the truth.
I know. I'm just laughing.
And
Imagine that.
basically, you and so and I was in ALC, the Alternative Learning Center, around, and so there was a couple of classes where and so when I first got there, I had already been coaching as a graduate assistant at Nebraska for that year for a year, and then an undergrad for a year. And so I was like, you know what? And the way to go in was, you find out who's on campus and you find out who the toughest kids are, right? And so I start going looking around, and this name keeps coming up, Eric Escobedo. He was a real good wrestler, and Tito. These names kept coming up. So I went on the hunt looking for some of the tougher kids in the school so that I could form a wrestling, a good wrestling program. And we actually end up winning, placing in masters and winning CIF, and doing well in state as well as a team. But that's how I actually came across uh, Tito, and Eric at that time. That's how I met. Came to meet him.
So, Tank, how did you become involved in that? Was that through Paul as well with your relationship with
Yeah.
Tito?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sorry, Tank.
That's why my wallet was left a little lighter, and my alcohol. He used to break into my house and take all my booze and stuff when I was out and about. But yeah, no, I Paul is around the 200 mark, and I needed some bigger guys, and Tito has a bigger frame, even though he fights at whatever, is it light heavyweight nowadays? I don't know what it is. They didn't have weight classes or anything like that, and so Paul's all, I got this kid, you could use him, and you need training partners. So I said, yeah, bring him in, and that's how that began.
Mm-hmm.
Was your experience with him better overall, Paul, than Tank's?
You know what? I always look back on like everything, right? From from when things started to where it was, but we've had a couple of things transpire between us. Like when I coached Bonner, there's been some mishaps. There's been some things that have happened between us, but I want to specifically talk about one is when he was outside of uh, he wasn't wrestling. He had taken some time off. He wasn't doing anything, and this kind of got him back uh, into wrestling at the junior college level. But we had a little scrap outside in the uh, it was in the dirt, in a driveway, a gravel driveway. He and we were scrapping, um, you know, and I was just like, kind of, what are you kind of doing type thing, you know. Um, and at that point, I was more of like a coach than anything. But when you got a coach that's out partying and doing things, that, and I mean, I don't want to get in too much deep into what it was, but it was some real partying, not with drugs and things like that. And so that's just not kind of the way you want to be around somebody or somebody to see. So I was kind of like, we had a few misunderstandings there. Um, I mean, I've never once said this person is like this or that person is like that, but we know between each other exactly how we are. And when you have several people in a group that's around you saying something, and the common denominator is you, like, hey, this person is this, and the common denominator is, oh, well, you're that person, right? Then that's who you are. And me specifically, you'll find out through MMA, through these decades that I've been involved in it, that, hey, I am who I am. And Tito's kind of made out his own reputation. And Dave is just the kind of guy that doesn't hold back any punches. You know what I mean? And he tells it like it is. And what he talks is the truth. Like, here's the one thing I know for sure about Tank. Now, it might be his version in a sense, but he's not a liar. When he says something, it's the truth. When he talks about things that have happened, it's the truth. When he says a person might be this way or be that way, to me, it's the truth just knowing him. Now, yeah, the person might say this or that or come back with some kind of rebuttal, but Tito himself, I mean, if I was to look at it, I'll just put it to you this way. And I'm kind of pissed off about this, Loopy. Okay? So you're going to hear this and you're probably going to see this podcast, and that's okay, right? Because I got some love for you if you just answer your damn phone for other stuff, right? But if I'm going to take a time out and text you and you don't text me back, okay, don't forget who I am. Don't let the gray hair fool you. You understand? Everybody's a man. You got to be a man. And if you're not the kind of person that someone can say a positive thing about you, right? Say positive things about you. And people that have known you say negative things about you, I tend to believe the people that are saying the negative things, if there's more than one. And it just bothers me about I'm not just talking about Tito. I'm talking about other fighters and people are in this game. All of a sudden they get in a couple fights and they're famous and they're somebody. And then they forget who you are. They forget that you're their coach. And this is how I was as a coach. And this is what I mean by that with Tito and any other fighter I've been around. If you're going to disrespect me, and what I call disrespect, then you better be ready to answer maybe the repercussions that are going to come up out of that, right? And all in all, when I look back on all the years, I can say this. I can look at myself in the mirror and go, that's a straight dude. Now, I might have done some things to some people that I owe some amends to, but can't remember all of that. But the guys that I was with and the people that I trained, if we were separated, that separation didn't come from something that I did, right? And usually the people that are pulling off bad things and doing bad things, they repetitively do that. And in our game in MMA, you'll hear about it. You'll hear about this guy doing this, or he or somebody didn't pay a trainer, or somebody lowballed a trainer, or or they're talking bad or down about it. It all comes out. It's such a small world, right? But I mean, if I had to scale things on a 1 to 10, if you're below a 5 on my scale, I won't even mention how I feel about you. And all I can say to him is, God bless you. You know what I mean? God bless you. But he ain't on a 5 out of 10 on my scale.